Philadelphia, coming at you live from the Hustlers Corner New York City. We're here today with our dedicated co-host, Jeanette Davis. Say hello.
Hello.
And our two new guests, DJ Vodika. Say hello, DJ.
Hi, guys. Hi, Perry. Hi, Jeanette. Hi, Lanny.
Hello.
And his attorney, Lenny. Say hello.
Oh, good morning. Hi, Perry. Hi, Jeanette. Good morning, DJ.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about DJ Vodika's book, The Green Wall, in which he reveals intense corruption behind the prison system that has actually put him in a situation whereas by revealing it, it has actually compromised his safety to a certain degree. So what we're going to do is we're going to let Lenny take it from here, but we're going to be very careful about how we allow DJ to explain what it is his story that he wants to tell. Lenny, take it from here.
Thank you, Perry. Thank you for the introduction. What I think is important to remember about DJ Vodika is that he was and remains a very honest, honorable, and dedicated father, grandfather, whose goal in life was to work hard, do the right thing, and just make sure everyone was treated fairly. But along the way, that sort of didn't work out. DJ became a prison guard in the California correctional system. He was and remains to be one of the elite of the elite. There were so many prisons opening up when he started that they would ask him to go set them up. He would put the procedures in place and get ready for the inmates to arrive. And DJ didn't work at luxury prisons. The prisons he worked and he opened at were for lifers. People there, murder, double murder, they wouldn't think twice about taking your life because they were never going to get out. So as a prison guard, you're particularly sensitive to that. And you want to make sure that as a prison guard, you get their respect. And the only way you get their respect is by giving them respect. And that was the one thing DJ did. He became a prison guard that the shot callers or the leaders of the gangs could go to and address some situations. And as DJ went along, he came across a group of prison guards who had decided, with the permission of the warden, that they were going to create fear and intimidation into the prisoners. And they would do that by dropping weapons in their cells, by falsifying reports, by beating them up and then claiming that it was their own fault that they got hurt. Well, DJ didn't believe in that. He wasn't going to be one that sat by silently and just let this occur. And so at a point in time when it was really escalating, DJ will give you the details, he decided he had to report it. And he reported it because he thought he was going to be confidential and he thought that it was going to be corrected, but that's when it just all fell apart. And the prison guards, or the Green Wall, started to retaliate against DJ, so much so that he was moved from the prison he was at overnight to another prison. And as soon as he got to the other prison, it didn't take long before they knew who he was and they labeled him as a rat and a snitch. And the worst thing that a prison guard can have is that label, because as DJ will tell you about, he was sent into a situation where he had no backup and he would have been killed, but for another guard who decided, maybe this isn't a good thing. So eventually DJ got out of the situation. We fought the Department of Corrections in a lawsuit, which was eventually resolved. And DJ went into hiding. Now the road to the lawsuit or through the lawsuit and the courts wasn't easy for DJ. There were times he would have to go into hiding for fear that he was going to be silenced by the Department of Corrections. And it got to the point where there were just two people who knew where he was, myself and a real trusted friend of his. And he had to live that life, if you can imagine, on the run, not from what you would think were shady people or bad people. These were people who DJ had grown up to respect and thought he was there to be his comrades, but they were out to get him.
So his own people turned against him that he confided in?
His very own, his own union, his own prison guards, the Department of Corrections. And what DJ was doing was shedding a light on a problem which had existed for a while and they did nothing about, hoping that, you know, they could just silence it or squash it. Or Perry, they literally did nothing. They literally did nothing. I mean, DJ and I went to a Senate hearing to testify, and not only did DJ spend an hour and a half, 2 hours testifying, but it so infuriated me that he was stuck in this spot when it wasn't right. It just wasn't right. And I mean, the lawsuit settled and we moved on, and the department created training and code of silence training, and the law was rewritten so that whistleblowers like DJ could hopefully not be retaliated against. But as I told you before, that lawsuit settled, well, maybe 10 years ago or so. And this year, he got a credible death threat from the Green Wall. And Perry, you would think at some point these people would just give up, but Perry, they don't. And they track DJ down, although he's in hiding, and he tries to minimize his communications with them, but they track them down. And this is what I will end with. I have represented prison guards now, like DJ, who are whistleblowers. And a couple of years ago, we represented another guard who wanted to be a whistleblower, but he got so much pressure from his own, I guess, warden and prison guards. And this was a man who had a young son and a young wife, and he just couldn't take the pain. And that's one way out. You know, that is one way out of the Green Wall and the torture they put you through. But then there's DJ's story, who he wrote his book. He continues to try to push for reform and change. And he won't give up. His way out is not to pass away, just take your own life. His way is to talk to people like you, to get people like you to say, hey, this is a real problem. Let's listen to them. Let's figure out something we can do, because a lot of our society is in prison, and they are human beings, and they have a right to be treated fairly and compassionately. And okay, they made a mistake, whatever it was, they still are human, and they have to be treated like humans, because respect is the way that they will regain their place in society, and will only be better because of it. And I think DJ's ongoing fight to try to expose this problem and force people to face the reality of, gee whiz, we can do better. We are better, and we can do better. Sorry, Perry.
I gotta ask you something. First, I just want to say, these days and times have to be with this level of corruption that is just permeating the United States, and all over the world it's coming forth.
Right.
The thing is, I have to admit, this has got to be the most judgmental times I have ever been through in my life, where you are judged for every little thing you do. Now, we understand how this puts a DJ's life, his family in jeopardy. What about you? Have you ever found your safety compromised as a result of this?
You know, not directly. There are certainly times when the heat is on DJ, and I kind of think in the back of my mind that you know, boy oh boy, I should be scared. But I think I get a little bit of strength in the fact that I'm doing the right thing, and I'm doing something to make this a better world. Because at the end of the day, I have to look at myself in the mirror and decide, did I make a difference today? Did I make a difference in my life? And Harry, no, I've never felt really threatened, and never will I cower away from the Department of Corrections and trying to make change and et cetera. Because what I see that the message that DJ had came out in an experience my son had when he had to confront bullies at a national scout jamboree. You know, he was getting harassed and harangued and picked on, and it was then he stood up and said, "No, this is what's wrong." And he went to his leaders, and they rectified the problem. And I thought, you know, that kid saw what our client DJ, who's now become our family friend, do, and that translated to someone who sees that, you know, it's okay when you see something to say something. You've got to make this world, you've got to do everything you can to make this world a little better place and a little more respect for everyone. I think what DJ has shown me is that the incarcerated are only there because of a mistake. They're not any less human. They're not any, they're as deserving as you and I for dignity and respect. And that's the lesson that I wish the country would just grab hold of and say, hey, we can't treat people like this. We have to be better about it. And, you know, DJ will explain to you in his life and his life in the prison about, these are lifers. These are guys that would, you know, take your last breath and not even think about it. But what he did was he didn't call them inmates, or he didn't call them convicts. He represented, or he called them Mr. and Sir. And this is the respect that he gained and they gained. And so they knew that if there was some problem brewing in the prison, that they could go to DJ and say, hey, listen, can you please do something about this? And it caused them both, DJ and the baddest of the bad, to have a mutual respect and realization that the world is not all as bad as it needs to be. It can be better. And I, you know, for that long-winded way, Perry, of saying, no, I've never been threatened, but the lessons DJ has taught me is you can't be afraid to want to make change. Mm-hmm. It's hard, and it will, in DJ's life, it's hard because it's not that he runs scared, but he knows the realization is that around the corner, somebody could be waiting for him, but that doesn't matter. If you don't want to see change, then you just keep your mouth shut. If you want to see change and you want to be better and you want to know that in your life you have made a difference, like what DJ's doing.
Let me say this. I totally agree with you 110%. However, my question is now to you, DJ. But before I ask that question, I want to say to the audience, this is how we come to find answers. This is how we come to find what is necessary and how we tackle these situations permeating our society and our communities in a way that we break it down piece by piece by fully understanding what's going on there. Now to you, DJ, I want to say, could have been possible for you to have found a way to break this without compromising your safety? Is there another way that you could have been around? And the other thing I want to ask is just how widespread is this problem? So I'm going to let you take it from here.
Well, Perry, to answer your first question is, no, we have an obligation as peace officers in the Department of Corrections in California. We take an oath out of the academy and swear in and wear that badge. We're to, protect and serve inside the institution. And I didn't adhere to the code of silence. The code of silence is huge in all law enforcement agencies, Department of Corrections, police departments, you name it, and I didn't adhere to that, and I didn't believe in that. I had morals and ethics, and if I see wrongdoings or if an incarcerated convict or inmate comes up to me and tells me, hey, this is what these guys on the Green Wall are doing, and they're abusing my friends, me, whatever, I have an obligation to report that. And I did report that, and then everything broke loose from there, and I would do it all over again. I took on the largest prison system in the United States, and I prevailed at the end, but I lost a lot. I lost my career. I lost some family members, my mom and dad, they both passed away during this ordeal. I lost some true friends that were in the Department of Corrections. And no, I do it all over again, Perry. And what was the other question you were gonna ask me, the second question?
Well, the first question is, if you were to do it all over again, could it be done in a way whereas, is there any outside entity that you could find that you could communicate with separate from this situation or the higher ups or the people that you're dealing with that could act as a mediator or go-between between you and this situation to keep yourself from being exposed, and while being able to slowly but surely chip away at exposing it? I think that wouldn't have been possible, Perry.
It
would have been possible.
No, not at all. Not when, like myself as a correctional officer reports wrongdoing inside the prison system all the way. I took on the warden. Later in my book, if you have already read it or got it, the warden is the one who threw me under the bus. He asked me about what I knew about these members of the Green Wall. He called me in the office. He ordered me to write a report. I had to write a report about staff misconduct, and he had an obligation to protect me and not to disclose my report. Well, he disclosed my report to these members of the Green Wall, who actually came down and threatened my life while I was at work on my duty assignment. Told me, you're a dead man walking, you're through. They quoted, and it's in the book, they quoted verbatim out of my memorandum what I turned to the warden. They quoted exactly what I wrote to the warden. So that warden threw me under the bus. And then, how can I trust the higher ups or my higher supervisors? So no, I could not trust anybody after I divulged the Green Wall. The only people I can trust was, and I'll say his name, he's a personal friend of mine, Joe Reynoso, and Lanny Tron. And there's only two guys I can trust.
This is Perry Odell coming to you live from the Hustlers Corner New York City, saying thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us on our show. If you are a person who was exonerated for a crime you didn't commit, and you want to come and share your story, come share your story in the Hustlers Corner New York City Victims of the System series. If you are a person who lived a former nefarious life and decided to go the straight and narrow and self-reformed, active in the community now, steering and changing our youth in a better direction, come share your story on the Hustlers Corner New York City Legends of the Hood series. If you are a Black business owner and you want to come share your story about your business, and you want to talk about your goods and services and your story, come share your story on the Hustlers Corner New York City Black Business Movement series. If you are a performing artist, rap artist, hip hop artist, vocalist, actress, and you want to come share your story of how you achieved your career and your success, come share your story on the Hustlers Corner New York City On the Grind series. If you are a woman who has been through traumatic times in her life and you want to share your story of triumph, come share your story on the Hustlers Corner New York City Lipstick Stories series. And as always, if you enjoy this show, please show your love. Hit that like button, share, don't forget to leave a comment, and most of all, subscribe. Thank you for joining us. Looking forward to you being with us again.